6 o'clock hour, so I'll call the August 12th, 2025 meeting of the Edenton Town Council to order. Our first order of business will be our Pledge of Allegiance, so please join me as we recite that. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, as is our custom, we're going to call upon Edenton Bond to give us our invocation.
Can we all bow our heads, please? Oh, Heavenly Father, we come to thee this afternoon to say thank you. Thank you for blessing us to see another beautiful day that you provided us with your love and your grace. Thank you for allowing us to meet once again here at the town hall to transact the business for the town of Edenton. Help us to do the right thing for the town and the people that's living within the town. Help this council to get along together, even though we might not agree on everything, but let us work together in friendship. Please bless us, bless our little town and all our families and all the people in Edenton and the Chagrin County area. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman Bond.
Yes, sir.
Our first order of business is the approval of our meetings from the regular meeting of July 8th and the special meeting of July 28th. Does any councilman have any requests for changes to those minutes or corrections? There appearing to be none, I will accept a motion to approve both of those meeting minutes. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those meeting minutes are approved. Next, we move to our public comment section, and at this point in time, we have not had anyone sign up. Is that correct, Mr. Wood? Okay. Next, we'll move to our committee meetings. We've got administrative committee reports, one action item and one non-action item from Councilman Miller. Craig?
Thank you, Mayor. First item is town staff allotment time policy, which was introduced and discussed at our council meeting on July 28th. The intent of this policy is to establish guidelines to prevent the excessive use of town resources on a single citizen request. The administrative committee recommends the approval of this town policy now.
Okay. And in order to get this forward for discussion, do I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and second. Any discussion, any questions? I think we've taken a good hard look at this, and I appreciate several of our councilmen bringing this type of tool available to us. I have received favorable comments to this proposal, and also have received one negative comment to this proposal. But does anybody else have any discussion or questions of staff regarding?
So there'll be a penalty assessed or a fee assessed for the limit. Who determines that exactly, do you know?
Do you know that?
That is determined by the town manager.
I think it's determined by the town manager.
And I would encourage, and I made a response to one individual who was concerned about it, if there's an issue that deserves major attention, I would encourage some flexibility if that particular issue merits that attention. But what we have found is there's just been repetitive nature of comments and questions of staff's time, and it's designed to assist our staff members in being able to do the rest of their jobs and not just for responding to those few individuals who seem to be taking advantage of some of our staff. Any other, somebody over here was.
Mayor, we could just put in plain language for everybody here and everybody watching and who may watch later, what the guidelines are for that.
The guidelines in quick summary are 3 hours per request or per question or per issue. It's not necessarily 3 hours per person. So if someone has a legitimate issue on issue A and we spend 3 hours on that, it's not as if the next month that that person has a concern with issue B, that we can say, oh, wait a second, we got you 3 hours. And I think there was some confusion about that, and it's certainly not intended to do that. But what we were finding on some issues is we would research it and give our answer and the reasons why we were doing things a certain way, and certain individuals did not like the answer and came back with more questions that were repetitive but still needed to be answered. And we were spending more than 3 hours on a lot of requested questions. And as I had pointed out recently, and some of y'all saw, I feel as though we made great strides in how responsive we are to the general public and how encouraging we are to our constituents being able to come and tell us what's on their mind. But we did feel like this was necessary because our staff, one important part of their job is to respond to constituent concerns, constituent inquiries and questions, but not at the expense of them performing the other aspects of their job, which center around the safe and efficient operations of this town. So is that kind of what you were looking for, kind of a quick summary? Okay. We got a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the town staff allotment and time policy, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That policy is now passed, and Dwayne will work with you and Corey on how to best, as things come up, how to best move forward on that. The next item from the administrative committee doesn't require any action, but we had a planning and zoning policy update at our last meeting, and I think that the direction that council gave Dwayne was the R3 proposal will be the first thing that you would work with us on. I understand that will be brought before the planning board at their meeting in September, and then a public hearing will be scheduled before this body at our September meeting.
Yeah, so there'll be a public hearing at the planning board and also at town council. If anybody has any questions about it beforehand, submit questions or comments to my office, and then I work for and take those into consideration.
Of these 3 items, you're going to take one at a time.
One at a time. Yeah.
For the planning board as well as the council.
And the reason we did that, Craig, you might recall, so that we would be able to better digest that as a body
Right.
and discuss it and vote on it, and also so the general public could, take each one of those one at a time
Right.
and give their comments to Dwayne, and also come before us at the public hearing. But to summarize the R3 proposal, the R3 proposal would allow lots in Edenton that could be as small as 3,000 square feet. The thought process there is we do have a big issue in town with providing affordable housing, and there are two factors among many that drive the cost of a house up, particularly if it's a new build. One would be the size of the land, and smaller land does not cost as much as larger acreage land. And also, if you have smaller lots, the developer builder can only build so big of a house, which limits the amount that can be charged for that house when it hits the market. So we're trying to look at that as a potential tool for addressing our affordable housing and workforce housing needs. But no action is required on that. Any other comments or questions on the R3 proposal?
Well, this is also, something that our preservation order does. The planner said to be real specific about it. It's something that's a good thing for historic districts in general, so.
Any other comments? Okay, as I said, there's no action required on that, so we'll move forward to the new business part of our agenda. The first matter which does require action is a budget amendment to reallocate remaining ARP funds from housing to recreation. The council will recall that when we received our ARP funds several years ago, we looked at housing as a priority and also upgrading our parks as a priority. The area that we concentrated on for housing was the land that we own on Coke Avenue. We used funds to purchase that particular location, and we also used funds to get an environmental assessment and clean up on that particular location. And once we did so, approximately $47,000 were left over. There are some additional things that we would like to do with our parks. I think we received positive feedback from the community on all 4 parks that we've improved over the last 6 to 8 months, and the recommendation from staff was that we consider reallocating those remaining funds from housing to recreation. There's also a couple other alternatives that does not meet the pleasure of the board. We could also look at other suggestions. So,
Mayor, what more has to be done at the parks?
well, one thing that we discussed is each park having something that was special and unique to that park that wasn't available at the other park. And whether that be a skateboard park or a pickleball court or something. So the idea was to provide something different in each of our 4 parks that we might not be able to afford to provide at each park.
I'm glad to see it being used.
But I think that's staff's recommendation. I think it's a good recommendation, but we're certainly open to other ideas. I don't think we're in danger of any time frames of designating that money or spending it. There is a time frame, but I think it's late 2026 or early 2027.
So I feel like when we had, that group come in and study everything, pack the house with parks. I mean, I think everybody gets a good idea.
I agree. But I do have one small concern with it. So part of the housing appropriation was to aid residents. It was actually a recommendation by Councilman Bond and sponsored by myself and then Councilman Coleman to aid residents in some home renovations and repairs. And I think that's where we kind of dropped the ball a little bit because I think we only were able to help one person, but we didn't really publicize it as much. I think a lot of citizens knew that we had funds set aside for home renovation. I personally would like to retain the funds in the account and then explore some other options and then work with whatever we got left. It's not much, but just a week or 2 ago, I had a resident to reach out to me and ask if there were any funding opportunities just to replace a couple windows, and she's heavily weighted on fixed income. But this would be that opportunity to help aid that person. But again, just kind of exploring some options of retaining the funds there and sticking to the commitment of helping individuals that are on fixed income or have certain needs.
And we may well end up voting on transferring it to the parks as proposed by staff. Is there enough interest to look at other options without making any commitment? Or is there interest in proceeding with a vote now? I don't know.
So this amendment is not just to move it out so we can decide, or we gotta decide now?
In my view, we don't have to decide now.
Yeah, it's no
Yeah.
immediate need.
Yeah, I mean, it's not anything urgent. We definitely need to decide on it. But if your question is, do we need to absolutely have to make a decision tonight? The answer is no to that. I mean, if you guys want to think about it, so or if you want to think about what Aaron has said.
Could we possibly table this
Yeah, absolutely.
decision
Yeah.
and think about this? Because
Yeah.
I've
And
heard the
that-
same thing about housing also.
Correct.
And that could give everyone the opportunity to get together with Wayne and talk about it further. I'm like Sam, but I think we got a lot of bang for our buck with the parks and a lot of positive feedback.
With additional
But,
bangs, where there might be some grants available later on.
Yeah, I think probably deserves more attention and questions from us. And certainly want to give our thoughts out to Corey. Anytime you have surgery, it's not minor, but Corey had some relatively minor surgery this morning that's going to require him to be out the rest of the week, and that's why he's not here tonight. And otherwise, he could have probably answered many of the questions that we have. So since he's not here, probably a good idea to table it, and I would accept the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to table.
Second.
Okay, we got motions and seconds. All in favor of tabling the budget amendment of the ARP funds, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So we'll table that and just encourage you to talk with Corey, talk among yourselves between now and our September meeting, so we would be in a position to vote on that at that meeting. The next item of new business is a proposed budget amendment. we have been approved for a Resilient Coastal Communities Program, RCCP, Phase 3 award in the amount of $115,000, and that would help with design needs for furthering Filberts Creek improvements. I think that's 100% grant. We're not gonna have to put any money into that, and would help us preserve and advance some of our green space along Filberts Creek. Do I have a motion second on that budget amendment?
Just one question about Greenway. What area would we looking at the Greenway?
You talking about the Greenway?
Greenway.
Would be, well, it would encompass Filberts Creek from Virginia Road, and if you look, when you go down, I think that's Hicks Street, to the left, what was already been forestry mulch, extending that as far as possible, just making it more connectivity, with green space and greenways, and really trying to.
This is right behind the hospital.
Right behind the hospital, yes, sir. And this would be like a redesign of the weir to, if it needs to be expanded, the engineers and designers would come in and give recommendations. And then this would be a catalyst for phase 4, which would be the final, construction project that would take place, so.
That'd be good for that area.
I don't know if you've ever noticed when you're traveling west on Hicks Street, as you cross over Filberts Creek, if you look to your left, to the south, and just look down that creek, and
Yeah,
it's really pretty.
it is,
Yeah,
it is.
really pretty. And there's already about a 20-foot little green
And,
space there.
I believe, Mayor's Task Force Liquor Control was just recently there cleaning that up.
They were.
So,
Can I make a motion that we approve the budget amendment as presented?
second.
And a motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That budget amendment passes. You recall several meetings ago, we were updated on the possible alternatives for the Pembroke Creek Bridge project. One alternative was for that bridge to be completely closed, and our residents on the west side of town along the Queen Street corridor would then be forced to go up to Highway 17 and cut down MLK, and then cut on 20 and some of those streets, Ramble and Broad, to get into town and get into downtown. The other alternative was a temporary bridge that would not result in any closures to the Pembroke Creek Bridge. And the only downside that I saw to that is that the project would take a little bit longer, but our residents would still have access to that bridge and would be able to access downtown and other parts of the town through Queen Street. And at that point in time, I think we had a consensus that that was the favorable option, and that is known as alternative number 2. And so I would entertain a motion and a second that we send a letter of support, in support of alternative 2 for the Pembroke Creek Bridge project.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
got motion and second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We will send that letter in support of alternative 2. Next, on our new business, we have the consideration of internal controls policy regarding ARP funds. The ARP funds may only be spent in certain ways, and there are certain timeframes in which those projects must be identified and that money must be spent. The municipalities and governments in North Carolina have been working closely with the UNC School of Government for a sample policy and a standard policy as it relates to internal controls to make sure that each town is complying with the terms of the ARP funds. We just had this document released to us on Monday, and this is something that is needed and required for our receipt and expenditure of ARP funds. Anybody have any discussions or questions about that?
It sounds like we have to.
Yeah. It's something we need to do, definitely. All right, I'll entertain a motion and a second that we approve the internal control policy as it relates to ARP funds.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor of adopting that internal controls policy, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Adopted that policy. Next, we've got a proposed correction to our 25-26 budget. And this is a simple change, it does not affect any dollars adversely or favorably. Our auditor came back and for whatever reason recommended that our expenses in the budget be listed in a different order than the one we had presented them. I'm not sure what or why that matters, but they had made that recommendation that our expenses needed to be in a different order, and this budget ordinance would address that and just change the order that our expenses are listed in our budget for the upcoming year.
Make a motion.
Okay, thank you.
Mary, you've got to find something.
Second.
Yeah, I think we got 3 seconds. but
Yeah.
We'll accept your third second. All in favor of correcting the budget as just presented, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, the next 2 agenda items are related. You will recall that back at our last meeting, we were presented with a request that a piece of property here in town be annexed. And as a part of the annex process, when someone voluntarily requests that their property be annexed, the first order of business is town staff has to look at that request and to make sure that the request meets the statutory requirements of the things that need to be shown or alleged for a voluntary annexation. Dwayne Wilton has undertaken an investigation of that, and I believe has found that the annexation request is sufficient and does meet statutory requirements. Is that correct, Dwayne?
Yes, sir, it's contiguous. There's 3 stipulations when we're talking about if it's sufficient in terms of North Carolina General Statute requirements. It is determined the petition contains an adequate property description of the area proposed for annexation. The area described in the petition is contiguous to the town of Edenton primary corporate limits. And the petition is signed by and includes address of all owners and real property line in the area described herein. There's only one sole owner, so that was easy, but based on the investigation, it seemed like it was sufficient to meet those requirements.
And you will sign or have signed a certificate of sufficiency, is that correct? And this is just a report item, we don't need any action taken on this particular part.
I wouldn't, no, sir, I don't think so.
Okay. The next part of this, we do need to take action on. We would recommend a September 9th date for the public hearing, which is required anytime someone asks to be annexed. And so I would entertain a motion that we fix the date of public hearing for this annexation request for September 9th.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to set the annexation public hearing for September 9th. All in favor of that public hearing date, please signify by saying aye. Okay, any opposed? So we will, yes,
Can I
sir.
ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Dwayne, what is he gonna do with this acreage?
I haven't seen any, like, concrete proposal come in to me, but I would assume it would be single-family housing. He has said from the beginning, no rezoning change or anything like that for commercial or anything, it would all be single-family from what I understand.
And when he does have
So he-
specific plans, that'll have to come before us.
It will, that would be a subdivision process, so it would come before council.
So he can need sidewalks and all that stuff. Right there.
That would be on the developer.
Okay.
And they have services right now that, sewer, water, all that's all.
It goes past the property, there's nothing inside.
What's that, 5 acres?
About 4
Four
acres.
and some change, yeah. Yeah, 4 acres actually, 4.00 acres. Okay, we have a motion and a second to set that hearing. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, the next agenda item under new business is a grant intent to apply for a particular grant that Fire Chief Billy Bass and Dwayne have been working on. Billy, can you give us some information on that?
Yeah, sure. It's actually a grant that was done through emergency management. It goes for the disaster preparedness response, and Pasco County applied for it, and they have decided they do not want the grant money. So it's open back up to this region. It'll be a regional asset for anywhere in the 6 or 7 counties to request it. It's a watercraft, like a jet ski. It'll be used here, like in the bay, like 4th of July. If we had boating accidents, the guys are taking EMD class starting Monday or Tuesday. This will be where they can get quick access to the water for the ferries, the paddle boat, the kayak decks and everything. So it'll be a quick access for us to get emergency help to the people in the water.
Do you know the reasons why Pastor Yank decided they?
It was some of the county commissioners decided they did not want to pursue the grant. And it would not cost us nothing but about $1,400 out of the budget. It's a $20,000 grant. It would cost us about $1,400 to have it tagged, titled, and all that. So it'd be a good asset for us with the fire department. You know, the town doesn't have any access, no equipment to get to the water right now. This would be the first step of us having access to the water, where we can quickly deploy it and have somebody on the water pretty fast.
Does it stay launched?
No, it'll stay at the station unless we need to have it down here, and then we can, we can put it down if we need be. But during the water festivals and stuff like that, it'll be out here where we can have guys on it. And if there's something on the boat that happens, then we've got access with EMTs will be on there, to get them to the
So
help.
we have guys trained they have.
Most of them have it.
Uh-huh.
They've used them before, most of the guys, but we will probably require a class for it also. The other thing is, we've got so much going on out here now. We have people renting jet skis, we have people renting boats to people that probably have never used a boat in their life, and this will be a quick access for us to get out there on the water in an emergency situation. And we had flooding going on like we did a few years ago down Broad Street, it could be used there to get access to some of the houses instead of taking these $500,000 trucks in the water.
Yeah.
So it'd be a good resource for us to have.
Is that something that only be used by the fire department or like in collaboration with PD? I know
It
that-
could be used for anybody in the region. I mean, the PD could use it, they need it for something.
It has to be regionally deployed.
So we would have to carry it to Dare County or Elizabeth City or wherever, so, but would be
Yeah, that's
housed
good.
here. But it'd be a regional response.
Elizabeth City used to have those speedboat races, that, they could petition us to use it and have somebody over there.
That's right. Just like when we had the bass tournament here, we would have guys on it circling around out in the water. If there was somebody got a hook in them, the guys were there to provide emergency medical care if they need to, or something like that,
Now, my experience with boats and personal watercraft, they like to be used,
Yeah.
and they actually run better the more you use them. And would there be a plan to get
Yeah, we would
guys
have it
out
out
there
on
on a
the
regular
water, at
basis?
least run it at least once or twice a week on the water, so we'd have, be ready to go. We wouldn't just house it and not ever use it.
I think it'd be a nice presence on the.
You suggesting you should break it in?
No. I need to keep breaking mine in. But no, I think that would be a good idea and a good branding effort for us. On weekends, we look up and there's a lot of people out there paddleboarding and kayaking just
That's right.
to be out there. And as you pointed out, right now we have access to the water through the sheriff's department and the boat that we provided them with their big boat. But we don't have any access, and they work well, they respond well when we need somebody, but this is another way we can respond. And also jet skis do not have propellers, and they can operate in more shallow water than that big boat, so.
Yeah, just like Hayes, if that ever gets done up there, beach access, then we have a way to get up there. Same thing happened about a month ago in Berkeley County in shallow water where they had a drowning. So this will be another asset for us to use and get out there on the water hole.
Do you think the ongoing cost to us, initially we'd have to put in about $1,400?
About 14, just have it title, tag, and all that. It's supposed to, and the grants for the bodyboard that will be used for, bring like somebody hurt, getting them in, the jet ski, and then vest. So we'll have to pay for just to have it tied over the tag and whatever fuel we use, and then.
That's what I'm saying, ongoing cost, fuel and maintenance.
Billy, what's the useful life of this? How long will it last?
Depends on how they're used. I mean, I've got some friends that got one that's 10, 12 years old that run. If you maintain them, they'll run pretty good. Problem is, like, it sits up for 8 months and you don't never use it, then, it's just like anything else. But I just think it'd be a great resource for us with the town.
I agree.
Good.
It sounds like the initial cost to us would be minimal and the
14
maintenance cost, the ongoing operation cost sounds like they would be minimal. Sounds like a good idea.
Mayor, I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the grant application as presented.
Thank you. Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor of approving this intent to apply for this grant, please signify by saying aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, Chief Bass, move forward with letting them know.
Okay.
I think there's a deadline on that, right?
August 20th, we have to have a letter to the person in charge of the depot.
Okay, if you need me to sign anything
Okay.
before then, let me know.
We've already got the letter just about ready to go, so as soon as we get it done this week, we'll get it to you.
When we hear back, when we,
I think they're meeting around, I think they get the letters on the 20th. We gotta let the court know that we want to proceed with it, and then the letter's due on the 20th. And probably within a couple, maybe a week or two after that, we'll know.
And is it favorable to us that this was originally awarded to a government here in our area and they didn't want it? You know,
Well,
like,
I think
hey,
the
we
main
wanted
thing
one
is-
in that area, so.
Yeah, we've heard that Dare County wants it also, but Dare
Well,
County
they
has
get
so many,
everything.
they have so many other resources down there with boats and jet skis and all. But I think this would be a plus for us, this would be the first piece we would add.
they can afford it.
Yeah, I would imagine they had everything they need down there, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it'd be a great resource for us, with what we got on in the water now.
All right, well, thanks for bringing this opportunity to our attention, Chief. Appreciate it. Okay, we next move to commission and board appointments. We have one position available on the Edenton Preservation Commission and two candidates, Brian Towers and Hal Murray. At our last meeting, we tabled consideration of this appointment because we had two of our members who were unable to make the meeting. Councilman Turner and Councilman Sellers, were y'all able to review the applications and or review the meeting online? Did any of y'all have any comments or questions?
I've known Brian Towers for a while, I did not know his background. It was
Yeah,
quite
so-
impressive.
It's amazing,
Town manager, right?
Yeah.
As well as a county commissioner.
yeah, it's amazing the talent that we have here in
Yes,
town
it
that we
is
don't know
amazing.
about.
We're a melting pot for,
Yeah, so the way this works, when we have two or more applicants for one position, the chair would entertain a motion as to one applicant and a second. If there is a second, we have a vote on that one, and then that vote tells you whether you need to move on to the second applicant or not. So I would entertain a motion on either one of those candidates and see if it gets a second.
I vote I move we elect Brian.
Okay.
I'd second that.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second that Brian Towers be appointed to the open spot on the Edenton Preservation Commission. All in favor of that motion and that appointment, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, none opposed, so that takes care of that. We do not need to move to the other candidate. And if you will notify Mr. Towers, we'll let him know what he needs to do to get up to speed on that career.
And, if you can get us a report of any vacancies that's open, just so we can have,
Absolutely.
On all the.
Correct, on all
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can kind of give a generalization right now. In the near future, we do have two candidates in difficult to get on the same schedule to get in front of council for approval for, I think it was one opening. We have a BOA alternate position opening as well. Those are the two appointed boards that have a
And BOA's Board of Adjustment, if anyone has an interest in applying to Board of Adjustment.
can I ask a question back with the waterfront advisory board, is that all filled now?
I haven't really had to deal with that board, but I'm taking on more of a role of that. I'll check and see.
Okay. Because I know we had some people interested.
Okay.
Okay, next agenda item is our manager's report, where Assistant Town Manager Dwayne Wilton will report on questions and issues which were raised at our last meeting.
Yes, sir. So we had 4 public comments on the July 8th meeting. Just to recap, Mr. Bill Sparrow, I want to thank the town for supporting the 4th of July celebration. We thank every department that was in attendance and an update of the history of the Office Club's 4th celebration. Chair Pro Tem Dixon thanked the group and was excited about the benefit that it brings to town. John Grant thanked the town for listening about the business concerns for parking on Court Street parking area. I personally thank Public Works for restriping the lines in the parking spots. Hal Murray specifically thanked the PDS staff for the 4th coordination and great efforts on the parking traffic solutions to such a big event. Those 3 comments are very positive and shows the support of the efforts of the staff made on the 4th of July. Lori Devlin brought concerns to council from some of the businesses with the number of events that the town is hosting. She termed the idea less is more. She shared that certain businesses were not in favor of the numerous events that Edenton wasn't ready for this amount of upsets for business as usual locations. Administration and staff try very hard to reach out to businesses and locals, share event details, and encourage more foot traffic to our community. We also work very hard to learn the needs of the community and plan for improvements that will allow our community to be vibrant every day and accommodate a growing number of guests. Whatever intent for locals or business to be impacted from celebrations, but we'll continue to work closely with these groups to only make the town a better place to live, work, and play. Coordination within the nonprofits and town staff and everything, communication just improves with every event that we have. Items considered timely and important. Councilman Miller asked for an update on White Lane development. More will be shared when the major special use permit is presented. Haven't received anything yet. We're still working for the traffic impact assessment for NCDOT. I'm not sure if we had word back from NCDOT whether that's been completed. We have not had word back yet. So we'll stay tuned and keep everybody updated with progress.
The traffic assessment, that's really the thing that's holding the developer up and also holding us up. And that's one thing we felt was important, so I'm glad they're taking their time looking at it, and hopefully we'll get something soon.
Yes, sir. It is moving forward positively. They're just waiting for the state to come back and determine if they need to do something or not.
Did they give a time frame at all?
But all parties are still involved in this, sure.
Good.
That's encouraging.
And on Lori Diablo's comments, one thing that we can work on is our communication and working with people. How can we make this better for all of us? I'm not aware that any of us want to cut back on our events because of all the positive benefits that it brings to town, including our downtown merchants. But we definitely could work on our communication and get them involved on how we're doing things. But make sure they know they've got a voice. Is that your report?
Councilman Turner,
Okay,
asked, yeah, no, it's good. Asked about the response letter from NCDOT. That was taken care of tonight. Councilman Sellers, draft response, met with business owners that were upset about the 4th of July celebrations, part of it. That's what we're discussing now. Main Street Board also requests the same out. Councilman Dixon indicated that the Main Street Board also requests the same outreach occur. We work with these organizations to specifically meet the groups that have been impacted recently that improves the planning for all these events.
And just to plug, we have a merchant meeting on Friday morning, 8 o'clock here in this building. All downtown businesses have been invited, but it's an open meeting if anyone's interested in joining that. Those are held quarterly, and after our meeting last week and our board meeting this morning, we're discussing if we bring those on monthly, just for more touch points.
Thank you, Chess. Next, we move to items considered timely and important. I don't have any questions. I do have a comment. I think it's timely to what we were just discussing. It's just anecdotal evidence of what our events do for our town. But on July 18th, as I'm prone to do, I saw a person that I did not recognize as being a resident of Edenton and got a good feeling that he might be a visitor. So I asked him if he was a visitor, and he confirmed that he was from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and he indicated that he and his wife came to visit Edenton for the July 4th celebration. He said that they came specifically for that. They came back, the two of them as husband and wife, on July 11th to spend the weekend with us, and then he came back on July 18th with his fishing boat and 3 buddies to show him. So that kind of confirmed that anecdotally that these events do work and there is a positive benefit that comes from those. Aaron, we'll start over here with you. Do you have any items that you
Sure,
wish to bring to our attention?
Sure. First thing, I want to thank the police department for this past Saturday, the demonstration. I think Chief was very responsive and collaborating with local law enforcement agencies. We had the police chief from Elizabeth City and also State Highway Patrol. And I think the demonstration went well. I think everyone was very respectful and it was a peaceful demonstration on both sides. So I'd like to commend them for that. And then one thing that I would like to do, today, it seems that the manager's report is almost like a month late. So I would like to take that agenda item, I don't know how to go about doing it, and placing it on a committee meeting versus having it on a general council meeting. That way our response time is a little bit sooner than 1 month, or sometimes it's about 5 weeks before we get back to some of those things. I don't know how anyone else feels about it, but I feel like when we get an update, it's kind of stale. A lot of the things he feel like we've already addressed. So I'd like to see that change.
I don't necessarily have a problem with that. We don't have Corey here to
Right.
get him to weigh in on it. And just as long as we understand that some matters may be resolved and reported back on in 14 days, and some, just by the nature of what they are, can't be reported back until 30 days, and sometimes even longer.
Right.
I don't necessarily have a problem with it. And Dwayne, I see you taking notes, just put that in your notes, and make sure that Corey puts that on our next committee meetings for discussion, so that he can weigh in, and then we can ask him questions about how that would work.
I just want to say is, whenever I leave Edenton, when I come back, I'm convinced it's the greatest place on earth. And it's because of these department heads, 3, 4 sitting over there, and it's because of our town manager, it's because of our leadership. And I thought what you wrote in your little article the other day was great, and I appreciate all Hack does, and all Corey does, and Wayne, and I think we're just really lucky to have such a good team to put all this in place.
I appreciate that, Sam. We also have good people. We've got great citizens that provide us input and make sure we're doing a good job. So we thank y'all for your contribution to making Eden all that it is. To piggyback on Councilman Cosson's comments about this past weekend, I had a discussion with 2 business owners downtown. We were here at the foot of Broad Street last week to talk to them about the plans that we were making to be prepared for this past Saturday's event. And I followed up with them yesterday, and one thing that I learned as mayor, if we're faced with events such as this past weekend that could, for various reasons, possibly get out of control, I think the things I learned was have a good operational plan. And our chief of police was on top of it. He worked with state and federal agencies. He worked with local agencies to get us prepared so that we had a great operational plan. B, we notified the public and also any potential bad actors that we had a very solid plan in place. It's not a good practice to let anyone know our specific plans for security, but we let them know in general terms that we were ready and ready for anything. And then thirdly, we had eyes on any potential bad actors. We had an above the ground camera that had ability to watch any bad actors for 360 degrees. We also had a couple drones that were flying overhead. And when people are being watched and know they're being watched, generally their behavior's a lot better than otherwise. So those are the 3 takeaways that I had. And Chief, I appreciate everything you did, and we'll talk about those takeaways and see if there are any more things that we can do if there are events like that in the future. But your leadership was very commendable. I appreciate it. You good? Councilman Miller?
I had a couple things, Mayor. I like the way, I think it's Megan Weiss handles Facebook, how she's recognizing employees, not just departments, but crews or sections within departments. She's doing that quite regularly now, and you get to know who they are, and there's a lot of positive feedback about what they do. And we really have great, like you mentioned, great departments here in our town. The other issue is, do you think it's about time we had a Hinton Hotel progress report? I was looking at September 9th. Would that be a decent?
Yeah, that's already scheduled.
Okay.
I had a meeting with, about 2 weeks ago with representatives, and things are continuing to move at a surprisingly good pace, and they are planning on coming at our September meeting to provide a quarterly report.
And the last thing, the Marriott Corporation, are they still on schedule to looking at off Clare Drive? You know, at any time when they again. Is it Spring Farms or Springfield?
That's what was, anything's in the air. They wanted to get started by the end of the year. I've tried to reach out to them quarterly to get updates. They have other projects in front of Edenton that's taken a little bit longer than they anticipated, but they're very much involved, and from what I understand, the owners of that company were in town just recently, the past couple of weeks, with their families exploring. So it's still moving forward. I do not have a concrete time frame out of the game.
They don't have a certain time frame from us, do they? Because they had to, okay.
But their permit hasn't expired, so they have to contact us, is that correct?
They don't have to have a special use permit or anything. They had a rezoning that was done about 3 years ago to make a commercial highway for medical parks. It's zoned that way, but it will be brought in front of council to let you know the project and the general public of timeframes and timelines about that more information to provide.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Sellers.
Yes, I would just echo Councilman Colston's and your comments, thanking the police and everyone else involved with preparation for Saturday. Would also point out it's another example of how well Chief is working with Sheriff Bassnight, who was downtown as well. That continued growth in working together and helping one another has been nothing but beneficial, and it was just another example of that on Saturday.
And I think that cooperation makes Edenton and Chilton County safer when those two
Without a doubt.
agencies are working together.
It's a marked improvement.
Councilman Turner.
We should always end positive, but I have a negative that have been asked.
I'll circle right back.
I had a group of people approach me Saturday evening. We had a concert down here and all that. On certain days, there's a very strong odor back here. And they brought it up to me. And I said, I don't have the answer for you, but it was bad. And it's only been a few times, but
Sometimes it's worse than others.
oh, it was, yeah, it was
Corey's
bad.
aware of that, and I'm not so sure if there are any cheap, inexpensive solutions to that, are there?
I thought he said it was something
I don't know, we just need some deodorizer or something.
We have a pilot program, I actually spoke to the gentleman today, that we should be installing soon.
Okay.
And hopefully if that works, it's about a $40,000 expense on the town, but it should take care of the smooth.
Is that in our budget,
I
existing?
talked to Miss Virginia today, and she said we would find the money.
It was bad Saturday
It was
night.
my very first job when I was in 1978, was working in that building.
Is that right?
It hadn't improved at all. It smelled good.
Yeah.
Well, so I told you I'd turn it around and make it positive, so, relative to Councilman Miller's comments about the Facebook page, and Councilman Costa and I were talking about this last week. Personality-wise, not a lot of us are out there trying to get attention or bring attention to ourselves, but it is a good way to bring positive attention to the town if we're at an event that town officials are involved, or town department heads, or town employees are involved, and you see somebody taking pictures, or you got your phone with you, always use that opportunity to get a couple pictures and send it to Megan. And it's a good publicity, it's a good announcement for the good things, not only that we're participating in, but more importantly, the good things that are going on in the town of Edenton. And lastly, we did get this notice that we are encouraged to participate in the Peanut Festival Parade, and I will begin making some phone calls to see if there's some sort of boat or float that all of us can get on. I think that would be a lot.
I think we ought to do
I think it would be hilarious.
I'm gonna drive the tractor.
Yeah, I'll drive.
It's the 15th anniversary.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll start working on that, and as the event grows closer, we'll find out which of you may be in town on October 4th. So, with there being no further business, I did want to thank everyone for your attendance tonight. We love it when you guys are here. And at this point in time, I'd entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
You bet when it's.
Yeah.
An hour. I think I was nothing.